Game 7 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is by all accounts a critical one for the Redskins, as they have the bye week and then tough games against New England, New Orleans, and Carolina looming on the horizon. The numbers say this is a winnable game for the Burgundy and Gold, but then again, at this point in the season, with the inconsistencies on this team, is there such a thing? Stick with us for the game preview, our take on the game, and more, right here on the Hogsty.
It's the Hogsty.
Welcome to Sty Wars, episode VIIXLJC. My name's Sean, and I don't understand Roman numerals. The crew's all here today. Help me, Steve Thomas. You're my only hope.
Oh, well, if I'm your only hope, you may be hopeless. Sorry to say.
He can make the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs. It's Alex Zeese.
I kind of have the Han Solo hair going these days, so that works.
I'm loving it, see? And this is not the droid you're looking for. It's Robbie Deadeye Duncan, of course. What's up, Robbie?
These are not the droids you're looking for.
Exactly,
Nice.
Man. Beautiful. Well, welcome to the Hogsty. We're going to do some previewing of the Buccaneers game. But, Steve, first, special announcements. Can you walk us through the news on the Get Jacoby in the Hall of Fame front?
Yeah, I can do that. You know, obviously we interviewed Joe Jacoby
Yes, sir.
a week ago for the one or two people who still haven't listened to it yet. And one of the things we realized after talking to him was that he is a humble guy. He's not one to go toot his own horn. So we decided to do it for him. And we think it's a crime against nature that Joe Jacoby is not in the Hall of Fame. So what we did is we wrote a big long article that says why he should be in. But more importantly, we want you to help people. Because the only way that we, the fans, can influence the process is to contact all the voters and tell them what we think. And if you read the article, you'll see that we cited the Art Monk experience and how the fans made a difference in Art Monk's candidacy. We can do the same thing with Joe Jacoby. So what we'd like you to do, everybody, is go to our website, www.thehogsty.com. There's a big icon at the upper right-hand side that says Jacoby Hall of Fame. Go there, click that icon, read the article. It gives you a great argument as to why he should be in the Hall of Fame. But more importantly, on the right-hand side of the page is a list of all of the voters and all of the emails and Twitter handles that we could find. And what I want you to do is contact all of them, as many of them as you can. Even if it's one big long email to 30 people, do that over and over again, however many times you can stomach it, because that is what can make a difference. It's only together can we make a difference.
Yep.
And get Joe in the Hall of Fame where he belongs.
Well said. And if you read that article, I mean, you'll see it's just a robbery that he's not in there. He really deserves
And
to
really well written too.
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely check it out.
Little bit of a read, but it's worth reading. Did you guys, by the way, see who already joined up and tweeted out to everybody?
No, tell us.
The Hogettes.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey.
See, they
that's
had their
step
own
one.
campaign going for this. So, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, teamwork,
Yeah.
guys. Very
And
awesome.
incidentally,
I think
if
rising
you guys,
tide.
if you guys have anyone out there listening has their own podcast or website, because we know some of you guys listen to us and follow us. We want you to help. We want you to get involved and either steal our article, give us credit, please, first, or write your own and start your own campaign, because the bigger number of fans we can reach, the more successful we'll be.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to sue you.
No.
We have no damages. We can't sue them, but, still.
No. But even if people do have their own podcasts or anything like that, and they want to talk to us about it on their show, just email us. We'll get back to you.
Yeah, so we're happy to. One of the four of us will be happy to talk to you guys on your show about it.
Yeah. So there you go. You heard it here first. Get involved with the Get Joe Jacoby in the Hall of Fame movement. Please get in on the ground floor.
But
But
I like
in
my
the
logo I made. I think we might turn that into a T-shirt
Yeah.
at some point when we start making T-shirts.
We should.
Sweet.
Well, moving on then for this episode, let's talk a little Buccaneers. And shall we, before we get into the preview, shall we take a little walk down memory lane and look at what happened last year? Because I hate to remind you, but the Redskins walked into a winnable game, and then it was the McCown-Mike Evans show for 209 yards, 2 touchdowns or something just to Mike Evans. I mean, it was a horrible, horrible game.
And the
And
score
RG3
was
meltdown.
27-7, I think, was the final score.
Yeah, it was 27-7.
The game that ended RG3's career, more or less.
Dude, and I'm so glad that you said that. I wanted to say, it was after this game in Tampa Bay last year, 11 months ago that he came and made his infamous "it takes 11 guys" comments that everybody freaked out about, everybody flipped out about. This was a bad mojo game because Deshaun Jackson after this one also tweeted out that, I don't know if you guys remember this from last year, but he
Can't do epic shit without with basic people or something like
that's
that.
the one. You can't do epic shit with basic people. So this was like the moment that it all like mentally came apart.
And then 51 weeks later, the coach is blaming the wind on his new quarterback's performance.
Exactly.
Well, I mean,
Exactly.
you can only have it one way, Steve. Either the coach can yell at the players or he can't.
But Steve, he said himself he's not trying to baby anybody.
Well, yeah, of course not.
Right.
You know, why would Jay Gruden baby anybody? I mean, for goodness sakes.
No, I mean, I think it's a fair comparison, and I think, Steve, you have some good nuggets in comparing Cousins and Griffin that we want to talk about. But I mean, well, let me just say, their comments that everyone flipped out about are exactly the same. They said the exact same thing in their post-game pressers. Cousins said literally it takes 11 guys. Our running game couldn't. I mean, Griffin would have been absolutely quartered for saying
the coach said it. Remember, the coach said it? You know, Jay Gruden said, oh, well, the running game stunk, and that's, you know, why the quarterback played bad. No, what dawned on me, a few things dawned on me when I was preparing for the podcast today. The first thing is that Kirk Cousins has actually played more games for Gruden than Griffin ever did.
Started more games, yeah.
Well, he played and started more both. You know, Cousins has played 12, started 11. Griffin has played 9 and started 7. So Griffin actually got far less of a shot with Jay than has Cousins so far. But if you look at numbers, and I promise people I'm not going to harp on Griffin here, but it's just an interesting comparison. Kirk Cousins, 61.6% completion percentage. You know, he's got a 77.5 quarterback rating in his career. Griffin, on the other hand, 63.9% completion percentage, 90.6 quarterback rating, 7.9 yards per attempt. Kirk is down in the sixes for a career for yards per attempt. You know, his interception rate's lower, his sack rate's higher. So, you know, I think overall, as bad as Griffin obviously was to everybody who just openly watched it for those few games that got him benched, nonetheless, you know, now that Kirk has played more games for Jay than has Griffin still has better numbers and better stats.
Yeah, I mean, you have to factor in, too, the fact that it was a worse offensive line last year. I mean, through the first couple weeks, the running game was better this year. I mean, I think it's definitely declined now. But I'm just saying, with the same tools, if not worse, Griffin was putting up pretty similar stats. I think it's a valid point to make.
He was putting up better numbers overall. You know, and there's a whole nother side to this. As Robbie be the first one to know, you got to watch the film and watch a player play, and that's a huge part of it. All we're talking about here is the numbers that were produced. Nobody's going to stand here and say that Robert Griffin looked great last year because there were a couple games where he looked awful. Definitely. I'm just saying from
let's be honest, the Tampa one.
Yeah, that was maybe his worst game. All I'm saying is from a statistical output standpoint, Griffin has lapped Cousins in everything but sack rate and yards per game. The other thing I was wondering about is, you know, after we had the debacle against the Jets, just where does Kirk Cousins stand amongst his peers? Huh?
Oh, amongst his peers. I thought you meant within the team.
No. Who knows? I mean, amongst the locker room, I mean, you know, Lord only knows. I'm assuming he's a good guy. I'm assuming people still like him. His quarterback rating this year is 77.4. He's ranked 31st in the NFL quarterback rating. Would anybody care to guess as to who is ranked number 30 in quarterback rating?
Let
me
probably Peyton Manning. Like Manning's had a terrible year, right?
Yes, he has.
Nope. Famous Jameis Winston is ranked number 30. Yeah, a little tiny bit higher than Cousins. But here's the interesting part.
I learned something.
His trivia time on the Hogsty. Who has the highest career interception percentage of any active quarterback?
Ooh, active quarterback.
Any active quarterback.
Well, I'm going to guess it's Kirk Cousins because he throws the ball like crazy.
It is, in fact, Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has a career interception rating of 4.25%, which is the highest rate among all active quarterbacks.
He's just shy of 2 a game right now. I know that.
Yeah. My favorite site, Pro Football Reference, has an advanced stat on interception percentage where they try to adjust for era and then rank order everybody. And I'm a
Right.
little skeptical about these adjusting, for era stats, but it was such
It's
a
a hard
horrible
thing to do.
Yeah, it is, and it's not 100% accurate. And so, I'm the first one to say that because I hate it when PFF does it. But this stat really sticks out. Cousins, as of the Jets game, actually holds the 8th worst career interception percentage index in the history of the league, with among
Awesome.
players who have attempted at least 400 passes.
Awesome.
So that is and that's not 8th worst now. That's eighth worst for anyone who's ever played the game.
Since 1920.
Holy
Yep.
shit.
So the point is that Kirk and
by
his
the way,
interception.
the NFL is coming up on 100 years. I didn't think
Yeah,
of that
that's true.
until just now. Huh.
The point is that Kirk and his interception this is not something that just the Kirk haters are bringing up. It's not something that
Right.
Steve here is trying to just mercilessly crucify him over. He's legitimately horrible / lousy with this interception problem,
Yeah.
and it's greatly affected his quarterback rating. And just it greatly affects the game. So
Did you see? I think Jerry Brewer? He wrote an article about Kirk and what he's been doing. Great. No, actually, I think it was Dan Steinberg.
There have been a lot of articles about Kirk this week.
Well,
that-
one of them came out and said that everybody wants to compare Kirk to Rex and how Kirk was Rex.
Rex
Right.
is better.
Rex,
Oh, Rex is leaps and bounds better.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
By the way,
I've been comparing Kirk to Beck. That's my comparison I made.
Yeah.
Beck didn't throw as many interceptions.
No, but it's more the style of play that I.
By the way, I
look
wanted
at.
to give credit where credit's due. So, the Hogs Haven put out an article that was today, Snap Judgments, where he goes into, the author is James Dorsett, and he goes into a lot of detail about the Cousins interception stuff. So I got a lot of those numbers from him. So if you want to read more about it, go there.
So in conclusion, with the team riding with Kirk for the rest of the season, as it looks like,
Or so they say.
Yeah.
that's what they say. Unless it gets completely out of hand, but if they're going to just keep rolling with it, I think we can all expect another top 5 pick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why should the team roll with him for the rest of the year?
Because they can't go back now. They can't go back to Griffin now. That's admitting a mistake.
And I understand that.
You
I mean,
can't go
we've all
back to
said it.
McCoy either because,
Why not? Why can't we go to McCoy?
I don't think he's shown anything to be that much more effective than Cousins. I mean, he had a
did not
great
look
game
good in
against
the
Dallas,
preseason,
but then
that's
he
for sure.
donutted the next week against St. Louis. I mean, he had an up and down year too.
Yeah, he did, but he's not going to throw the interceptions. His arm is barely NFL quality, admittedly. But if you got to do something different, he's there.
He's
Yeah.
better at improvising than Cousins.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I think it was very telling when at the post-game press conference, or maybe it was the day after, Gruden said, "We don't have a quarterback who can throw it 40 times a game and win right now."
Yeah, yeah,
We're getting a new quarterback next year, folks. Just accept it and move on.
yeah. And you know what? I'm happy to be done with it.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm tired of the
Yeah.
drama.
I'm
Do you
done
think
with
it
the
was-
drama.
Yeah.
I want to get rid of all 3 of them, honestly, and just start over.
Well, I would keep McCoy just because someone needs to be there for the new rookie.
Maybe
and
so,
frankly,
but-
I would rather bench a rookie for the first year because none of these guys coming out look like they're NFL ready.
Sure,
But
keep McCoy. give him
we can talk
peanuts.
about that in the offseason.
Yeah.
So when Hackenberg or Cardell Jones is the new Redskin
Jesus
quarterback,
Christ.
Oh, I'm
McCoy
all in on
will
a new
be
guy.
his tutor.
I'm falling in love with Kevin Hogan out of Stanford.
If it's any of those 2 you just mentioned, Steve, we're in some deep shit.
I'm just torturing Robbie. I know Robbie hates both of those guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get back to looking at this Bucks game. So we've talked a little about Kirk in general, but let's talk about his chances specifically in this game. So I think, unfortunately, like, to Alex's point, it seems to be we're always facing a pretty well-ranked defense. That's not really changing with the Bucks. I mean, they're totally underrated as a defense. They're 3rd overall in total yards allowed, I believe. And they're 3rd against the pass, but 17th against the rush.
But
So-
there's the total yards allowed thing for them is a trick. It's the only reason they allow so few yards is they turn the ball over so much on their own side of the field that they're people go 30 yards for a score.
It's
Sure.
not only that, but they also play Jacksonville and Houston, neither of whom
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
Strong offense.
Sure.
It's
but
what's
their
more
quarterbacks
telling.
both had career days versus the Bucks.
Yeah, well, I think what's more telling is they are 3rd in total yards, 3rd in passing yards, but they're 22nd in points.
yeah.
So they give up a lot of points, even though they don't
Can't-
give up a
they
lot of
do.
yards.
Can't seal the deal.
Yep.
Let's look at what they have talent-wise on that defense. They have probably one of the best defensive tackles in the game with Gerald McCoy.
Yeah.
Who I'm nervous about. They also have Levante David, who's kind of very underrated as an outside linebacker. He makes a lot of plays. He's one of those tackle machines. They also have Bruce Carter on their depth chart behind the starter. He's always been a great playmaker for Dallas. He's really quick and a cover guy. It's not going to be easy. I mean, they got Alteron Werner, who's a very good cover corner. It's going to be a battle.
I think let's talk about how our offense matches up against that. So we know they have talent. They have had some success, admittedly, against some poor offenses. But honestly, we're a poor offense. Also, let's just be fair and honest. We're a poor offense.
Yeah,
it's the truth.
So I think the big story, other than the fact that Cousins is struggling, the other big story is that we have had zero running game the past couple weeks. And it's not just because Matt Jones stubbed his toe.
Yeah.
It's a lot of Robbie, what has happened to our running game?
Well, I do believe that they are kind of stacking the box. They're not afraid of Kirk Cousins beating him with the arm, but Mark Bullock he put out a big article about the running game, and it's not just because of them stacking the box. It's lack of execution, guys getting beat. Our center position's been really weak the past couple weeks.
You should still be able to get 2 or 3 yards, even if they're stacking the box. I mean, you should be able to get a couple.
And Alfred Morris isn't taking advantage of what he's been getting too.
No.
He's had chances to make plays, but he's getting tackled by the first person that comes to him. He's not breaking anything right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there are two things that I've seen. One stat was that since we lost Sean Laval, we've dropped about 2 yards per carry on average in each game.
Yeah.
So there's that. And then the other thing that it just drives me nuts is if we're struggling, why isn't Darrell Young in there? Because he's a great lead blocker.
Yes.
That to me would be a big way to. And I've harped on that probably 30 times on this show because I love fullbacks. I don't know why.
It's a great point.
Well,
He disappeared.
Your BFF Jay Gruden does not like fullbacks.
Yeah.
I think we saw that with Hard Knocks. When they were covering Cincinnati, he just doesn't like fullbacks, and he
He
clearly
didn't even have a fullback there.
He cut all the guys that were in camp there, and Darrell Young, he just refuses to use them for whatever reason.
It makes no sense. He's a very talented player.
Jay's just not a very good coach.
Besides being a blocker, he makes plays on the run too when he gets the ball in his hands. Sometimes
He can be a weapon in the pass game from time to time.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jay has his strengths, out there, but effectively using his personnel just isn't something he does well. It's simple as that. What I wanted to point out was that in the first 2 weeks of the year, we were first in the NFL in rushing yards, and we were 7th or 8th or so in yards per attempt. Well, look how far we've fallen.
Yeah,
we are now 13th in the NFL in rushing yards, firmly middle of the pack, and we are 24th in rushing yards per attempt.
Yeah.
It's
Sure.
we've just come really crashing down to earth in that.
Particularly the last 2
we did
weeks.
play a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, last we played, I mean, the last 2 games, to be specific, we've mustered 85 yards or something like that over 2 games. So top defense or not,
right.
it's not enough.
No.
No one's going to win with that.
And neither one of those defenses were the 85 Bears. There's no excuse for having 34 rushing yards. And Bullock hit on it, I think it was in that article, Robbie. He was talking about the run, pass, and balance. And we talked about that for our Jets recap show a little bit. At halftime when the score was 13-10, it was 16-11. 16 pass plays, 11 running plays. There's just no excuse for that on a team that prides itself on being a rushing team.
Well,
right.
But you have a 3-point lead at the half. I mean, you can't complain too much about run pass balance when you have a lead.
Well, all the more reason to establish the run in the first half. We were doing okay. The only reason we had that lead is because of turnovers, first of all.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Thank you, Breland.
Yeah, thank you, Breland. But there's no reason to not try to establish the run. I just think that Jay, the first sign of any problems, he just gets away from the run, abandons it totally, and goes back to a short dump-off game.
Yeah.
Man, how much would you have loved to be a fly on the wall for that Code Red meeting they had the other day that he talked about?
Can somebody tell me what a Code Red in football is, for goodness sakes? I mean, here's my thought on it. Thank God we have the Code Red because the team's in trouble.
Yeah.
We're 2-4. Things are going badly. Well,
I've been Code Red for like 3 weeks.
Well, it's just thank good. No problem. We're having trouble. No problem. We'll just punch the Code Red button, and it's going to make it all better.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
my
I think
goodness.
part of this is just people harping on something for fun because, it was
Well,
just
yeah.
a weird throwaway line, obviously. But
Absolutely.
You know.
When you earn a 2-4 record and you talk about going code red, I mean, come on. People are going to criticize you. It's fair. You suck. Take your
Yeah.
lumps.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Take
Well,
your
it's just
lumps.
ridiculous because that implies that you weren't really trying before.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Now we're going to turn it on. Now that we're 2-4, now we're going to try. That's what I
Yeah.
got out of it.
Yeah,
I just
true.
got out of it. I mean, Gruden looks like a guy under siege. I mean, he just seemed stressed out in that press conference, and he feels like he's on the hot seat. And frankly, guys, I got to say, this game, I think, is a pivotal one. It could be for his future in Washington. That might not necessarily be fair, but I think that's the way it is. Because if you lose this game, you get the bye week, and then you lose again against New England, then you're looking at 2-6. The team's in the same place it was last year. I mean,
We will lose to the Patriots.
right, of course,
That's-
foregone conclusion. Foregone conclusion. So I think he's in trouble. I really do think that he better come away with a convincing win this week.
Well, here's the problem, though. I mean, I highly doubt that a move will be made in season and they go with an interim coach. But
True.
the problem is, if things continue the way it is and he gets fired after the season, it's not Scott McCloughan that's picking the coaches.
Right.
No.
Right.
It's Brucey. It's good
Yeah.
old Bruce Allen, and that's what's terrifying me. Why you wouldn't have Scott McCloughan having a say in choosing a coach or having the final say? That is.
Honestly, he ought to be the only voice. Him and Snyder ought to be the only two voices involved.
The only thing that worries me about that is Scott McCloughan's only coach pick that I know of is Mike Singletary.
Okay, but would you rather trust Scott or Bruce?
Yeah. See, I think.
No, I don't. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'd rather trust Scott, but that is not a great pick
Yeah.
on his part.
Well, if you go back and look at it, though, Singletary fit exactly Scott's philosophy. The smash mouth, big players, play with attitude. I mean, he wasn't a great coach, but
no, he
fit
he might have been borderline insane, but
he fit the mold that McCloughan was looking for.
Yeah.
At least. So I can understand that hire.
Well, let's get back to the game. So before we talk about Skins' defense, let's just get it out there. What's the one thing the offense can do to generate points against the Buccaneers? I mean, obviously, spoiler alert, I think where most of us are going to say it's get that damn running game going. So, I mean, other than that, take care of the ball, and that's the key to the game for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I got a couple things that when I looked into what's the Bucs' weakness, they don't give up big plays, but luckily for us, they give up a lot of first down, easy, short yardage plays in the passing game and in the running game. And if you can get in the red zone, they are 14 of 19, allowing other teams to score a touchdown when they get in the red zone so far this year. So to me, that's the key: is just move the ball. Like you said, don't turn it over. Get in the red zone, and good things will happen against this team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think the key is getting the running game going. It has to have a productive running game. They've got a decent pass defense. They've performed, in pass defense, and the way to combat that is to run the ball effectively and hang on, and score some points via the run game. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. Neither team is a explosive offense, but if we can get the run game going, we can stay ahead of them, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think it just simply comes down to execution. I mean, I said it in our game preview blog last week for the Jets game. It's all really execution. These guys are good, and we have the pieces in place to do this. We got a decent young offensive line that just needs to kind of get their head out of their ass and execute in the running game. Mm-hmm. Give the running back lanes to run through, and the running backs need to see it. It's all small detail execution things that they have to fix.
Yeah.
The only thing left I'll say before we move on, Sean, before you move us on, Sean, is we're still doing well in things like third down conversions.
Yeah.
We can move the ball. It's just a matter of converting those drives to points, which is something we've done just miserably at all year long.
Well, Kirk needs to not panic for that,
and by the way, we are now last in the NFL in passing yards per attempt. We are less than 5. Mm-hmm. We're at what is it? I don't have it right in front of me, but we are. It's I think maybe 4.2 or something like that. But we're last in the NFL. That just cannot continue.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to produce something in the passing game in order to win football games.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Let's flip over. I mean, last year the story of the game seemed to be the same. Defense couldn't make a stop. Offense was not in sync. Griffin threw 2 first-quarter picks, I think, and took like 6 sacks. I mean, it was a miserable game all around. So how can we, for this game, prevent Mike Evans from running all over us for 200-some yards and 2 touchdowns? What can our defense do to stop them? I wanted to actually call out too before we move on. Talk about a young offensive line. The Bucs are in a similar situation. They've got 2 rookies along that offensive line, including Marpet, who a lot of people had penciled in going to the Redskins. The other guy is this guy Smith, who's their left tackle.
He was their first round pick.
Yeah,
wasn't he?
They were both high. So they've actually been playing pretty well. Not enough to explain any of the woes the Bucs have been having on offense, but they've been playing pretty well. It seems to be just Jameis isn't in sync with anybody, so I guess that plays somewhat into our favor. But I mean, I guess you'd kind of expect the diagnosis to be similar. We've got to stop their run game and make Jameis throw it.
That's the thing. Their running game's been kind of coming alive recently. Doug Martin's kind of having a bounce back year from his struggles earlier in a couple seasons ago, but. Yeah, we got to stop Doug Martin first, and then if you stop Mike Evans, Vincent Jackson, the same height, just as big as he is going to jump over somebody and make a big play. So the 2 of those receivers are big mismatches for our team.
The only good news for us is Mike Evans hasn't gotten going yet. I just looked up his numbers. He's only had 13 receptions all season.
He's been hurt.
Vincent Jackson's got 20 receptions, 15.3 yards per catch.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's a threat right there. But
Jackson's been a playmaker his whole career. He's always been one of my favorite receivers to watch. He's just a huge guy. Unbelievable.
I mean, offensively, their numbers just aren't good. 26 in points. They've scored 7 less points than we have. 26 in total yards, 29th in passing yards. Winston, I already told you guys at the beginning that Winston actually has a higher passer rating than Kirk. He's thrown for 7 TDs, 7 interceptions. He and Kirk are probably fairly good compliments to each other in terms of what they've done on the field.
Yeah, but one's a rookie and one's a 4-year vet.
Yeah, one's a rookie, one's a 4-year vet. I understand. I'm just saying that what Winston is doing is not on the field right now is not too unlike what Kirk is doing on the field.
This could be the game though. This easily could be the game where everything kind of clicks for him and he just goes off and has a huge day against us.
We have that history.
I'm worried about that, to be honest.
The Redskins are slump busters. That's our MO.
Yeah. So, I mean, I keep bringing up depressing things from last year, but I believe we were their second and final win all season last year, which is pretty pathetic. Obviously, we did the same thing, a similar thing against the Lions, snapping an entire season's worth of losing against them. So, we have a history of doing that, and it's just not looking like we have that much more promise this year, which is just totally depressing. I'll tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see them shut out Jameis Winston through the first half, and then he comes out the second half and lights it up. We've blown 3 or 4 first-half leads this season already. So just come out to a lead this week and just fucking hold on to it, please.
Hey, Robbie,
3.
Tell us.
We had no shot in that Giants game. We blew 3 leads.
Tell us
too many.
What happens at halftime in a locker room, Robbie? Because I mean, at least from your experience, because obviously the Redskins have been the worst in football in the third quarter by a long shot. Whatever we're doing at halftime, whatever the coach is saying, I don't know if the coach is saying the wrong thing, if they're making the wrong adjustments, something bad is happening. And what do we know?
All I can really speak on is my experience, obviously, but the way it worked at ODU was we'd come in the locker room, we'd sit there for like 5 minutes or so while the coaches have their own little quick meeting, kind of figuring things out, making adjustments, and then they'd all come out and talk to us. But even then, it's not like you really think where coach gathers everybody together, gives this big speech and everything like that. It's really, we're all separated. We talk to our position coaches, we make fixes there. And then right before we all go out, then the head coach says something, unless, things are going really out of hand, and then he has to try to, get us all back on the same page. But it's very, very calm. Even if I've had many times where we were down by a lot, and I would expect the coach to come in and yell at us, but everybody would be like, real business-like, okay, here's what we got to do, blah, blah, blah. Here's what's going on. We got to fix this, fix that. it's a lot different than you think. I can't say what Redskins are doing. I assume it's the same thing. Then they're trying to make corrections and adjustments, but it just seems like we're getting outcoached in that area.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, they supposedly the coaches had a special meeting about their halftime adjustments this week.
right.
So,
I mean, whatever they're doing, it's not much, and I don't think it seems like they come out of the gates the second half with a hugely different strategy. I mean, it doesn't look any different. It's just the same screens to Thompson, 4 out of 5 times.
Well,
we don't have different strategies. We have what can Kirk do? Okay, he can't do this, so that now we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Well,
That's the only thing I notice each game is we get rid of all the stuff Kirk can't do in the second half.
Well, Bullock kind of touched on it a little bit in this article that Robbie was talking about earlier. He pointed out against the Jets that there were a couple running plays that worked, and then the Redskins did it once and got away from it. I'm not sure that the team, that the coaching staff is taking an analytical look at what worked and what didn't.
I'm not sure they're all on the same page.
Yeah,
I'm not either.
But what Gruden was saying the other day in his press conference about what's going on in the third quarter, he seems to really think it's just the enthusiasm and the drive goes down, like they lose energy going into the third. I don't know why that happens.
That's
on you, man. That's on the coach.
Exactly.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It's like he's spelling his own demise by talking about these. Like, what an idiot. You can't keep your players motivated with a lead into the second half. Get out of here, man.
He should just go into Marshawn Lynch mode and just and just not say anything, really.
I mean, I thought
maybe we ought to go into the Colts, split the offensive line out to the right side play. Let's try that.
Thank you, Chuck Pagano, for taking away the swinging gate stat.
Yeah, I mean, that was just putrid. I watched that on loop 50 times.
You know what's funny is that I have played that play in a game live. My high school football team ran that play. And why? At the time, I didn't realize it was anything that somebody had done before. We just thought the old man was crazy, and he wanted to do something totally wacky. And so we tried that, and we did it once in one game and got 4 yards, and that was it. Never saw it again.
I mean, I don't know. I don't care who you are, but if you're the guy who's about to snap the ball or the guy taking the snap, and there's 4 people staring right at you that are going to blast you, call a fucking timeout, because clearly they're not lined up appropriately for you to call this play.
Well, see, because when we ran it that day, basically the other opposing defense just tracked the man they were supposed to block anyway.
Right.
And so their whole offensive and defensive line was on one side of the field, and then there was a center and a running back and me on the other side, and then that was it, and it was ended up not being a big deal.
That play just came down to the Colts trying to out Belichick, and Belichick was like, "That's cute.
Nobody can out Belichick.
Go ahead, run your play. Go ahead and run your play. I'm not going to call a timeout."
Yeah, I mean, that was pathetic. But
anyway,
at least it wasn't the Redskins.
Thanks to Chuck Pagano, for getting rid of the swinging gate.
Yeah. Chuck Pagano, who's probably also looking at the end of his coaching career, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about precipitous falls, too. They have just come out and really underplayed this year.
Yeah.
Really depressing.
Luck's been bad, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, do we want to venture some potential guesses here at the score of this game? I mean, this could be anything. This could be anything from a high-scoring shootout to a 6-7, squeaker. Who knows?
All right, let's do it.
I'll go first. Let's see. I gotta scrape this out of my brain here. Let's go for 21-17. Tampa Bay. I'm going 21-17 Tampa Bay because it seems too winnable. Seems too winnable.
I'll go second, I guess. I just cannot believe the 23rd and 24th ranked offenses in the league can score a lot of points. So I'm going to go 17-14 Bucks.
Okay. Ain't that far off.
Yeah.
I am actually going to I'll be the wild card, I guess, is what I'm feeling. I think we do win this one. I'm going, let's go 24-14 Redskins.
Okay. All right. We're all in the same ballpark.
Well, score-wise being low, yes.
Well, I see, like I said earlier, I think Jameis Winston's going to have a big kind of breakout game. I think it's all going to kind of click for him for whatever reason. It just happens. Mike Evans has another big game. Vincent Jackson goes off on us too. We will have a hard time stopping Doug Martin. I mean, we haven't shown any bit of our running game really bouncing back and stopping anybody. So I'm not feeling good about this game. I think we're gonna go into the bye week with basically a circus of 2 weeks worth of media, bashing and
feeding
all
frenzy,
that fun stuff. I'm predicting a 24-10 win for the Bucs.
Okay.
Oof. It'd be a very Redskins thing to do for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're wrapping up, but I got a quick question. If you guys all think that we're going to lose this game, who's our starting quarterback after this? And
Kirk.
do Kirk and Jay both make it through the bye week?
Yes.
Yeah,
They do. They shouldn't.
They shouldn't, but
I'm not a fan of firing head coaches in the middle of the season unless you're Mike Singletary and you pull your pants down, in the locker room,
Yeah.
which he did in fact do. I just don't see how it's going to help anything.
Right.
What is an interim coach going to do that's going to improve anything? So I think Jay is here. No matter what happens, I think Jay makes it to the end of the year. Kirk may not, but Jay is going to.
Who would be the interim head coach should a move
Callahan,
be made?
I think, is the obvious answer.
It's the only thing that you could do,
You're not going to make Sean McVay.
No.
Yeah.
Or Joe Barry?
God, no. Not going to make Joe Barry, no. Callahan's obviously the season
I wouldn't
guy.
be surprised, though, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised.
Me neither. He's an experienced coach. He's been around.
Very energetic and charismatic. People would feed off of
That's
him.
what he
You never
says,
know.
but he can't motivate players at halftime. I thought we got him so he would throw trash cans around and go crazy at halftime and rile people up. He ain't been doing shit.
Honestly,
that
I
falls
think
under Gruden's watch.
True.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a pointless discussion because I just don't see how the team's going to fire a head coach unless it's really something that's just gone total disaster. I think a better question is how far does if Kirk continues on this path, how many games does he get to start?
I think he's still going to finish the season. I really do. I mean, I don't think he should.
As a starter?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it should be that way, but I think it will be.
I could
Unless
see
it
them
gets
giving him
completely out of
12,
hand.
13 games.
Yeah. Now, if it goes really bad, yeah, and then what? You put McCoy in, Alex?
Yeah.
No, I'd actually go crazy and put Griffin back in. I don't care what McCoy can do.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you on that, frankly. I wouldn't mind seeing Robert Griffin in front of this new and improved line. I really wouldn't.
I still maintain that I would have played him in the first place and never
Probably.
replaced him. But yeah,
Well, I think now
matter.
it's so much easier for us to say that because we all said
I
Kirk
said it
wasn't
from the
gonna-
beginning.
Me too.
I always said it.
I agree, and I mean,
You and me,
we
Sean,
kind of had to
said
shut
it
up for a while
always.
because
Yeah.
people were so critical
Well,
of it. But now,
it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point.
well, anyways, let's just before we wrap up, let's also look at the we have a backloaded schedule here with NFC East division rivals. So let's take a look at the standings in the division. Giants sitting on top at 3-3. They play the Cowboys, the Saints, and the Bucks. So I think they could probably win at least two of those. Dallas has got the Giants, Seahawks, and Eagles. I don't know. Games are kind of tough for Dallas to win right now. I think they could probably win one. And then Philly's also 3-3 against the Panthers, Cowboys, and Dolphins for their next three opponents. So I think we actually have the roughest schedule, which doesn't bode well because we're at the bottom now.
Yeah.
Can I give everybody a bit of advice on this? Don't pay attention to what's going on in the rest of the NFC East. Until this team rights itself and starts to play consistent football, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really does not.
Yeah.
Even if we were to
it's
sneak into
pointless
the
to don't
playoffs.
torture yourself.
Yeah. No, I agree.
This season was not about record. It wasn't.
Yeah.
No,
certainly not
and
after
I
we lost all
realize,
those players.
what are we? A game down, 2 games down from first place, but it does not matter. I mean,
No.
this season is about finding out what's going on at quarterback and making some incremental progress. And that's it.
Same as
And
it
beating
ever
Dallas. It's always about beating Dallas.
was. I just gotta say, I don't even care about Dallas anymore. I just want to beat the fucking Giants. God, I hate the Giants. Anyways, special
I wanna beat 'em
announcements. By the way, let's call it out. If you haven't listened to Rick Snyder's podcast, the Burgundy and Gold Hour, you should definitely do that. Our very own Robbie Duncan was on the show, which was awesome, hilarious. Robbie, what'd you do on the show?
Yeah. Rick hit me up, I want to say it was Tuesday morning, to do his podcast with him. And No, it was Monday night. It was Monday night, and then he had the bright idea to do a parody of A Few Good Men, the scene where Jack Nicholson yells, "You can't handle the truth."
Classic scene.
So I was Jay Gruden as Jack Nicholson's character, and Rick Snyder was Tom Cruise. It was brilliant and very funny. If you guys haven't heard it yet, please go listen to it. It's very funny. And we are actually planning on doing our own Jay Gruden parody sometime in the near future, so stay tuned for that.
Well, no, we're gonna have Jay right here in the Hogsty Studios. It's not gonna be a parody. It's gonna be the real Jay Gruden.
The real man.
By the way, Rick Snyder and Tom Cruise, they could be clones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Something like that.
Oh, and you guys,
I love Rick, but
and Rick's just a good podcast. He's got a lot of good stuff to say. He's an enjoyable I think you guys ought to listen to it.
Very knowledgeable.
After you listen to ours first.
right.
Yes.
Always the Hogsty first.
Don't listen to that pesky radio. Just load up on Redskins podcasts.
Exactly. That's all you need. That's all I need.
Especially not the man cave.
Right.
No.
Goes without being said. All right, well, this was the Hogsty. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll be back with you guys for a game recap. Hopefully a win to talk about here probably on Monday. So until then, we will see you next time.
May the force be with you.
Always.
You guys are a bunch of nerds.